Hello, I'm Kimberly, and welcome to the weekend edition of the Native News Update. It's Friday, June 22nd. Many of the stories you hear here can be found at IndianCountryNews.com. And here's the news for the day from the Associated Press and other Native news sources. Canada was among several Arctic bordering nations to face criticism at the Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro, as Greenpeace launched a new campaign aimed at preserving the Arctic as a global sanctuary that should be protected from resources exploitation. Environmentalists took swipes at nationalist claims on the polar region for offshore oil drilling, arguing for the creation of a special Arctic reserve to protect animal and plant species. Eco-minded celebrities such as the former Beatle Paul McCartney, actress Penelope Cruz, and director Robert Redford added their voices to the Greenpeace goal. They were among the first 100 signatories of a Flag for the Future scroll that Greenpeace hopes will be signed by 1 million people and placed on the Arctic seabed. The document, designed by the Girl Guides and intended for burial 4 kilometers beneath the ice, would be a symbolic reminder that drilling and industrial fishing are banned in the area. Canada, Russia, the United States, Denmark, and Norway have all been trying to stake claims over the parts of the Arctic, which is believed to hold up to 1/4 of the Earth's untapped oil and gas reserves. A 35-ton Venezuelan stone that makes up part of a global peace project in Germany is evoking more rage than harmony. The sandstone boulder on display in a Berlin park drew protest at the German embassy in Venezuela June 21st, as a group of more than 100 indigenous Pemon demanded the rock, which they view as sacred, be returned to their homeland. The boulder, known to the tribe as the Kueka Stone, belongs in their community among the grasslands and tabletop mountains of the Grand Savannah region. A campaign on the Pine Ridge Reservation to raise awareness about the high rate of suicide among the reservation's youth is reminding them what all of them can have, and that is hope. The rate of suicide on the reservation is at least 150% higher than the national average, and in 2009, the Oglala Sioux tribe declared a state of emergency because of the state of suicides on their reservation. As part of the Lakota Voice Project, organizers gave about 200 disposable cameras to elementary and middle school students on the reservation who were told to document what hope means to them. The American Advertising Federation of the Black Hills has been working with students from the business class at Oglala Lakota College to develop the awareness campaign. The ultimate goal of the campaign is to obtain funding for a crisis team on the reservation and a suicide hotline. The current local hotline for the reservation residents runs only until 5 p.m., at which point residents must call a national number. The 1,000 photos that the young students took went on display June 22nd in Little Wound Elementary School in Kyle, South Dakota. Billboards and other marketing materials with the photos will also be distributed in the future, and organizers hope to create a traveling exhibit. Google has gotten involved with the Endangered Languages Project, an initiative to document and prevent the extinction of more than 3,000 languages worldwide. Some of the languages that the project is trying to prevent from being lost to history include Native American dialects from the Midwest, and more than a few hundred throughout the Pacific Islands. The venture is unique in that it gives people interested in preserving languages an online place to store, access, and collaborate on their research. A diverse group of collaborators have already begun to contribute content ranging from 18th century manuscripts to modern teaching tools like video and audio language samples and knowledge-sharing articles. Members of the advisory committee have also provided guidance helping shape the site and ensure that it addresses the interests and needs of language communities. An iPhone and iPad app released this week called FirstVoices allows users to chat using their native language for the first time. The app, created by the British Columbia-based First Peoples Cultural Council, features nearly 100 customized keyboards that display the characters used by a wide variety of native languages. Most of the languages are used by Canadian First Nations, but the app also supports Indigenous languages from the United States, Australia, and New Zealand. FirstVoices also connects users to the contacts in their Facebook and Google Talk accounts. The First Peoples Cultural Council, a provincial crown corporation, has already made nearly a dozen dictionary apps for the Aboriginal languages in British Columbia, with more on the way. The council's chair, Lorna Williams, says her organization wants to ensure young Aboriginals have the tools they need and want to learn their languages and connect with their culture. The assets of Heronswood Gardens Nursery were sold to the Port Gamble Klamath Tribe, the tribe that has its ancestral land on the location of the gardens, 15 acres on the Kitsap Peninsula in Kingston, Washington. The tribe has agreed both to preserve the historic gardens and to use the facility to educate their members as well as the public about native plants. The Mashantucket Pequot Museum and Research Center has received the Connecticut League of History Organizations Award of Merit. The museum was honored for its Battlefields of the Pequot War project, spearheaded by Dr. Kevin McBride, Director of Research at the center. Battlefields of the Pequot War is a long-term collaboration project launched by the center to research, document, and preserve the battlefields of the Pequot War, and also to educate the public of its history, legacy, and significance in the history of Connecticut and North America. The final goal of this long-term project is to nominate and list sites and battlefields associated with the Pequot War to the National Register of Historic Places and develop preservation plans with landholders and local communities. The Pequot War remains one of the most controversial and significant events of the colonial and native history of Connecticut and the United States. The majority of its battles were fought on Connecticut soil, and the war presented a number of history-making firsts, including first declared war in European colonized New England, first time both European and Native people fought one another in a major conflict, and first time Native people experienced a European style of total war, a European technique which influenced American policy toward Native tribes as America expanded westward in centuries following. A portion of the opening ceremonies of the 2012 U.S. Olympic track and field trials served as a tribute to the centennial anniversary of the modern decathlon. All-time greats in the event were honored on June 22nd. Jim Thorpe, who became the first Native American to ever win an Olympic gold medal, was honored posthumously and was represented at the event by two of his sons, Bill and Richard. Along with Thorpe, 6 other American gold medalists in the decathlon was honored. Thorpe, who is considered one of the most versatile and accomplished athletes in modern history, headlined the ceremony. Also honored was Billy Mills, who in 1964 became the second Native American to claim an Olympic gold medal when he won the 10,000 meters at the Tokyo Olympic Games. His victory is considered one of the greatest upsets in Olympic history. U.S. track and field hopeful Lolo Jones, who comes from a multiracial background which includes Native American, made the 2008 Olympic team in the 100-meter hurdles, a feat she will try to duplicate at the U.S. Olympic team trials for track and field, which began on June 22nd in Eugene, Oregon. Jones overcame a childhood that included periods of poverty and homelessness to become an NCAA champion and later a 2-time world champion in the indoor 60-meter hurdles. 4 years ago, Jones was heavily favored to win the Olympic title in Beijing. She looked flawless in the preliminary rounds, and in the final, she appeared to have the gold locked up until she smacked the 9th of 10 hurdles. Momentum lost, she ended up finishing 7th. Jones has faced other challenges since Beijing, most notably a spinal cord injury that required surgery last August. She opens up about the ordeal, the Beijing nightmare, her childhood struggles, and how running for LSU transformed her life in the ESPN film documentary Sex Storied Lolo Jones, which airs June 23rd as part of ESPN Sports Saturday. That's the same day as the 100 hurdles final at the Olympic trials, where Jones will look to nab one of the 3 slots for the London Games. And that's another roundup of news from Indian Country on this edition of the Native News Update. I'd like to thank you for joining me and have a grand day.